You're listening to Biz-Souls, the business podcast with an edge, hosted by me, Rona Lewis, and Jeffrey Hansler. Tune in for perspectives and discoveries about the changing world of business. It's time to connect to the heart, soul, and humor of how business gets done.
Hi, I'm Rona Lewis.
I'm Jeffrey Hansler, and we get to the heart and soul of business and the people that make it happen.
Yeah, this is
Rona's
Biz-Souls.
just messing with me. This is like take two. She changes things up. She changes her voice. She goes to this sultry.
I know.
Hi, I'm Rona
It's like
Lewis.
doing takes in acting where it's like, do it a different way. All right, now I'm going to do it. I'm going to use a radio voice and do it this way. Anyway, see, and it's all about understanding your partner. We're actually talking about understanding, except we're understanding our clients.
Right. And, I've got, OCD, and I think it's getting worse along with the
Something's
ADHD.
going on. I don't know.
Anyway, and the camera is still out, so you get to see a lot of Rona and a lot of us together, and
your
none
hand.
of me. And you know what? It actually works out because Rona knows how to look at her camera, whereas I really don't. I have
everywhere.
Yes, exactly.
It's because I'm visual and you're what, auditory or
Mostly auditory, yeah.
touchy-feely?
Kinesthetic, yeah, kinesthetic auditory.
Anyway.
My eyesight's improving, though, that I'm getting older, so maybe I'm getting more visual, too. Anyway, we're talking about clients and knowing your clients.
Yeah, and, basically why knowing your client, really knowing them is, in more than one way, is successful for building a business relationship. This is really for consultants, coaches, those type of people, because
or job seekers. I mean,
okay, that's a point. Yeah.
When Rona brought this subject up and she said you should talk about knowing your client, I'm thinking, duh, and I would,
which he often says, no matter what I bring up.
Exactly. It was just like you should. I mean, isn't that obvious? And here's the thing: it's only obvious once you realize it's obvious. So you don't know what you don't know.
Can I tell you a story? Talk about job seekers.
Yeah.
Years ago, I was looking for a salesperson to help me with Playful Mind Project. And this girl comes up, and I first of all, she came dressed in like jeans and sneakers. And I'm a little old school. If you're going to go for an interview, yes, maybe the tech people go in jeans and hoodies. I am not a tech company. This is, Playful Mind Project is not tech, certainly. And I said, so what do you like about the company? Oh, I love the wellness aspect of it. I said, really? What was your favorite thing on the website? We are not a wellness company.
Right.
And as soon as she said that,
you knew she hadn't done her homework.
Right. And she's like, oh, it was very colorful. I was like, yeah, which page? And so basically I caught her in a lie. And I said, look, I'm going to tell you right now, there's no way you're getting this job. What I will tell you is I'm not the only one who's going to be asking these questions. You need to do your research. And it's the same thing with consultants. If somebody is interested because of a program you gave for an association or a convention, or you gave a keynote, fantastic. Don't just jump in. You really have to know who your client is, what business they're in, what matters to the client, all those things.
Right. And it's degrees. People say, oh, I looked at their website. They sell this product. They do this. That's kind of a superficial look.
Right.
You also need to look at the people you're going to be dealing with. And because they're a component, they'll reflect some of the values and the culture of the organization. They'll also have their own likes and dislikes and anything you can find out about them. It's how deep you want to go.
Right.
And the deeper you go, the more you can get in touch with them. And that's where the people that really understand how to connect. It's like a relationship. You can meet somebody.
It's not like a relationship. It is.
Well, yeah, you meet somebody on a date. Are you talking about are you talking about yourself and what you're doing?
Oh, I've been on plenty of dates where the guy has talked about themselves the whole time.
Yeah, and you leave going, oh yeah, I know everything about them, and they know nothing about me.
Yes, and they won't, because I'm not going out with them again.
Right, and I think the problem is time. People feel time pressured, or people are just hammered on, here's our product, here's what we do, here's the service, here's why we're great.
Yeah.
Know your stuff. And instead of trying to understand the client.
Yeah. Yeah, it's they vomit up information. It's basically benefit selling.
Right. Show up and throw up.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And when they don't know what the issues are, they don't know their pain points, if you will. I don't like to use the word pain because it hurts. Pain hurts.
Well, and what's happened, I think the biggest transition has been the amount of information available. You can really dig in and get a ton of information on people because of social media, on the companies, on what they do, the charities.
Yeah, LinkedIn is a
Oh,
source
yeah, and it's, again, you've got to find the time. You've got to make the time to do that as a focus, and I think the best people do that.
Oh, yeah. Even the look for a mission statement or look for, have they volunteered? What are their, what things do they do for their employees? Things like that are important too, because that will give you an idea even of what the C-level or how the C-level works.
Right. God, there was a movie with Tom Hanks and Jackie Gleason and Cena Ward. I think it was
Celia Ward?
Celia Ward.
Was it the...
Nothing in Common. Nothing in Common. It's where he was a old school salesperson and just would go in and glad hand to do that. That was Jackie Gleason. Yeah. He got diabetes and he wasn't taking care of himself. Tom Hanks was the new executive and how he went about learning all about the client to win the deal. And then it was about, he got so lost in the client, what the client was, that his values came, just clashing with them at a critical moment. So anyway.
Okay.
So look, the point is we have,
I was like, and? I'm waiting.
So look, there's the other side of this. There's knowing the client, and also you have to know yourself as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you've got to find a fit. And
yeah, it's okay. Oh, we just did a podcast on just say no, knowing when to say no. If a finance company really wants to work with me, I can play with them. I can work on team bonding and stuff. And if you start talking numbers to me, that's not my thing. Then I'll be like, talk to Jeffrey because I got nothing.
Right.
That's not my wheelhouse. And go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No,
you broke this up. So what I was going to say, you've got what's your first section on this?
I did, why knowing your client matters, which we did, if you want a long-term business relationship and referrals, things like that, it's always good to know your client's personality. Right. And the company has a personality. You should know that.
Right. And we've added into that.
Yeah.
It has to be a match between them and yourself because that's how you create a healthy relationship.
Right.
So you want to know about them to see. I mean, one of the things for consultants is, do I want to work with this client?
Right.
Do I want to help them? Do I want to contribute to them? How much is this going to cost me mentally, physically, otherwise to work with them?
And I would say take a step back and see what you can find out just about the industry itself and where the client stands in the industry.
Right. For example, with the veterinary medicine, again, Dr. D, God, he was great. And he was talking about the industry, and we were talking about the element that so many veterinary centers are going down the path. It's all about the money.
Right. They're getting bought up by...
Right. And so if he happens to be with a group that cares about the result, and it's this holistic approach, and that works for him, he would be miserable at a place that was just, pushing the emotional
button,
button of the client to squeeze more money out.
Right. And I told the story of my getting my dog's teeth done, and the vet saying, "Oh well, he needs a chest X-ray," and Dan, Dr. Dan is like, "No," I said, "That's why I'm not going back," and so And so you have to know what the industry is to know what you don't want.
Right. And again, going back to a relationship, it's like if it's a marriage.
Yeah.
And it's a contract, and you're getting involved with this. And hopefully, you don't want to keep having to find new clients. You want to find clients that you can work with, that you can respect, and that can also respect you and want to work with you. Yeah. On your terms.
Yeah, and there's always, you don't have to be best friends with the people you work with. You should certainly, like them, which would help, or at least respect them. You don't have to go out for a beer with them, but it'd be nice if you could,
Right. And think of like, with your psychiatrist, or counselor, if they get too close to you, they can't do their job right.
Right.
They have to.
There has to
so
be
there's that
some amount
professional
of
buffer.
objectivity. Yeah. You have to be objective, and I do get emotionally involved with my clients because, I always have a blast because that's my job, and I really want to see my clients work well. And at the same time, am I going to just be sitting there working for free the whole time just because I like them? No.
Right. No, it's a
So,
professional relationship.
Of course.
And it includes the things, So I look for clients that are open to transparency, radical transparency or radical honesty.
Yeah.
I love that, and I've always been seeking that, and I like arguing about things with clients, and so we come up with a better solution, not arguing for arguing's sake, arguing to come up with a better result. And I think, and I don't know if I could do well with Elon. They say he's really tough to work with. I think I'd thoroughly enjoy it.
Okay, and I probably wouldn't, because I think he's a bit misogynistic, and I think he's a little crazy. And he's a little too, let's just say he's much more conservative than I prefer.
Okay.
So he wouldn't get it.
All right.
And and I've said no to clients before because I know it just wouldn't. Look, I am not. I will recommend people. I am not going to be for you, because I could tell within. I mean, you're better at this than I am, and I could just tell within minutes we would be butting heads because they see things their way, and they're hiring me to change the corporate culture that they don't really want to change.
Well, and talk about, so this is a great example for knowing your client. I don't think I'd ever end up working with Elon because he doesn't need my services. He's building the organization. He's got people that do a dual role. He's got technical people that do that dual role, that they set up the organization, they set up the business unit, and they're technical. And there isn't a technical skill I bring to him that he hasn't already got. He doesn't need OD work, organizational development work. He like Twitter. People don't like what he did. He organized himself. Maybe he did work with a couple of consultants on a few things. I don't know.
I don't know that he would tell you if he did.
No, he probably wouldn't. It wouldn't be
too much of an ego.
Well, no, it's not high on his priority. His priority, I think, is creating new things and going new places and
doing what he wants, basically, because he's good at that, doing what he wants.
He is really good at it. Yeah.
So, and anything else you want to? This is not a long one. It's just something that I thought of because I had a conversation with someone who does what I do and did not do a lot of research on there.
No, I think this is good. And we've talked about, some deeper elements of it for people to take, other than just, knowing your client. It's about the relationship between two of you. So what was the second section?
We did that, researching the company itself for history and values and core values as well, and looking at, do they volunteer? Do they allow time for their people to be creative and come up with their own ideas? What do they like day to day? That sort of thing.
So what we didn't talk about in this section is we didn't talk about, there are companies that they put on, let's say, lip gloss, on a pig. Yeah. And we donate money to this, or we back this charity. And that's not necessarily their values. They're just putting on a corporate show. Yeah. Because so you really have to get down
because it's good for taxes.
It's good for taxes, or it's good for PR or something like that. It's like the drug companies selling Oxycontin and those things. It was like,
so they just give it away.
Yeah, and they're rewarding the doctors and things like that. And then the doctors were, like, hey, take us on a trip here, take us on a fanfare here. And it was really just about, the idea was, how can we get this drug out there because the more people we can get hooked on it, the better off it is. And I don't know if that was the way they thought in their tent. I'm not implying that to any of the lawyers out there. Although it seems to be the end result, and they ended up getting sued on it. Anyway,
But he digresses.
Yeah, really. It's you find out how they interact. So it's the stories the employees tell, and so it's the stories that you hear about them. It's the op pieces that, the ed op pieces that you hear about them, or how they're doing op-ed pieces. Thanks. Sorry. Dyslexic.
Yes.
Flip it around. So it's how you do that research, and there's a lot of different research, and typically looking at the leadership, and
Which is actually my third point.
Is the third. So transition, third point.
That's a silky segue, isn't it?
There we go. Okay.
So go ahead. No, go finish your thought.
No, the thought is it's not always straightforward.
Yeah.
So what they present that they do, like for example, Apple Computer, we're innovative on stuff, and yet sometimes with Apple Computer, the idea, it's not invented here. And so if ideas were coming from the field offices, they didn't get listened so much. Huh. So the idea of being an innovative company was innovative if you were on the inner circle. And that's not the way an organization should really be. And I think right now, that's what Tim Cook is suffering with. That inner circle doesn't exist. Jobs was the driving force for it. And they don't see the cultural problem with it.
Yeah.
So
and that's where even companies like IDEO, which is a creative think tank, they are fantastic for teaching other organizations that they have to get out of their own way, that the curse of groupthink. Everyone, it comes on board. It's a startup because we have an idea to go from here to here, and all of a sudden everyone is here, so no one thinks about what it's like to go here. So you need people who are from different backgrounds. Not everyone who's in the tech industry should be from tech, because you're going to see it a certain way. Maybe have people different ages, different backgrounds, to get, just like Ed Catmull did.
Right.
For the movies, get different viewpoints, because they'll say, well, I can't use it for this. Oh, let's add capability, or we could also use it for this, and if you put a tail on it, we could use it for this. So people have different ideas. Even Walt Disney had a whole, I think it was, if you go on your knees, there's like a whole world of things that you see as a kid,
right,
that you can't see as an adult. Who would have thought of that? Somebody came in with a totally, hey, what happens if we make things just for kids? I don't know about you, but as an architect, I probably would not have thought about that. And I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, it is brilliant. Although I think they've lost that in their culture. I think that's what
I don't know.
they're struggling with now.
I knew a guy, I actually dated a guy many years ago who was an Imagineer, and he told me that story, and it may have even been Walt himself. I don't know.
I'm sure it was.
Who's like, we need to have a different view besides the adults who are paying for everything.
Well, and organizations, like successful organizations, that's how they stay on top, is by constantly keeping the best of their cultures in. And I do think Disney has lost it. I think they've kind of lost, because they've gotten so corporate, and the risks are so great in the financial market.
Well, that's just it. And you called it. I think when companies get too focused on the bottom line, it's like they forget the fun they had of getting there, and that's where the innovation comes, and being different, and that's where people get groupthink and all that. And so it's we're going off the understanding the client, but understanding leadership.
I don't think we are, because what they've forgotten is the fun of failing and getting to know a company.
That's a great point. Yeah.
Getting to know a company. You're going to make mistakes getting to know the company.
Right.
You're going to make mistakes in getting to know their culture and everything. And the fun of getting involved and learning about that is great. And what happens is once you're in, then you've got to keep that ability to fail, to try new things, to kind of push the envelope, to keep, or a relationship. Marriages go stale. Why do they go stale? They stop having fun failing together. They stop having fun trying to do different things. So this is back to the fun and the failure.
I'm not going to say it.
What? I fail frequently. I'm great at failure.
I think you enjoy it.
Well, it's, what was it Jeff Goldblum's line? I'm always looking for the next Miss.
Mrs. something or other.
Yeah, whatever her name is. I'm always looking for the next Mrs.
Oh, Mrs. Goldblum?
Yeah. That was just a great line.
Yeah, that is great. Anyway, so yeah, bottom line is this. No matter who you're working with, what company, even a partner. Jeffrey and I in our podcast history have gotten to know each other pretty well. We've been really good friends for 4 years now.
Yeah.
And it took us a while.
Seems like so much longer.
I know, 40. So and we've gotten to know, and we ask each other questions. And I think that's the key. Don't be afraid to ask questions, even if you think they're not going to like the question.
Right. And you have to be willing. That's the part. You have to be willing to risk it.
Yeah.
So what worked 2 years ago isn't going to work today, and you've got to be willing to risk and kind of risk the whole thing. That's why I love Elon. He goes in and everybody's telling him, don't do this. And, oh no, we're going to make it X. We're going to change things around. And that he's willing to risk everything. I know. I've got the.
He's shaking his leg. And
it's probably making the whole table shake. All right. So anyway.
And at the same time, you have to be careful. You are a contrarian. I think Elon's a contrarian. So if I sometimes make even like a food suggestion, and he'll be like, no, I want to do this. Jeffrey, put the weights down. No, I want to hold them until my arms can't hold them anymore because you said put them down. So be careful with that.
I hate waiting. I just really hate waiting, so I'm trying to make use of the time. Leverage. It's all about leverage. How can I leverage my time to do different things?
Work out without me. It's like I'm down here, once every 2 weeks? So.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway.
All right. Hey, I thought this was great.
Good.
This is great.
Good. Yeah, I hope so. And there's all kinds of information, and I got a bunch of information from Harvard Business Review, Harvard Business Guide to Managing Up and Across, and there were a couple of other things that I had to. It's just a matter of critical thinking.
Yeah, and I liked our spin on it. Our spin was different. I think we did we brought in elements that
I'm
I
glad
haven't
you
seen.
liked it. My job here is done. Okay.
Any final tips on it?
Don't work out with Jeffrey.
Rona's great. She's really helping me. She's trying to give me a few more years.
Somebody's got to be the man in the... I'm kidding. I don't know. I'm kidding. I'm teasing you. And now you're just getting back in shape. And I pretty much am a neurotic Jewish girl who always stays in shape.
Absolutely. All right.
That's my story. I'm sticking to it. All right. That is it for us. I'm Rona Lewis.
I'm Jeffrey Hansler. Keep those cards and letters coming in.
Oh, yeah. And we never say this. Please subscribe. Tell all your people. Click the like button. It helps our channel. And we need all the help we can get. All right, you guys. This has been Biz-Souls. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the Biz-Souls podcast with your hosts, Rona Lewis and Jeffrey Hansler. Did you have fun? Subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It's very much appreciated. Talk to you next week.